Hey everybody, you're listening to We Still Like You, the embarrassing storytelling show.
Okay, so I haven't... Okay. This is a nightmare I may not be ready to live through.
I started getting crushes on boys.
Real embarrassed about this.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time.
Okay, I'm just like, how do... Okay. All right.
There we go.
So if you can't tell by my voice, I've been sick this past 2 weeks. In fact, the entire We Still Like You team pretty much got wiped out by the common cold, which is also why we got a note from corporate telling us to stop making out with each other. But even if we are contractually obligated to slow things down a bit, that's no reason that you have to. In fact, this week's show is all about adventures, and in true We Still Like You fashion, failed adventures. Later, we have a truly terrifying story from Greg Welch, who basically recreates the plot of the movie The Revenant if you replace the CGI bear with a pile of cocaine. But first, this week, We Still Like You alum and all-around nice guy, Matty Ryan, heads to Thailand.
I'm covered in blood, my shirt's ripped, both my flip-flops are down there, literally covered in blood. And I'm with a broken bar stool, crawling past his window.
Before we dive into today's story, I wanted to let you know about a cool thing we're doing. For the rest of November, if you sign up to support us on Patreon at the $5 level, you can get a piece of custom live art. At every single live show, we have a cartoonist draw little doodles of the stories as they're being told, and we wanted to offer the opportunity for anybody who signs up to get their own custom piece. So all you got to do is go to patreon.com/we still like you, sign up to support the show, and send us a short description of something embarrassing or shameful that you've done, and one of the We Still Like You live artists will draw it up and send it back to you. If you already signed up at the $5 tier, just go ahead and shoot us your story and you'll get a live art too. All right, thanks for hearing me out. And now, from Chicago by way of Thailand, here's Matty Ryan.
It was like 5 years ago, I went to visit my buddy in Thailand. He'd been living there for a few years teaching English. And I finally got over there, and the first day we get there, I get to Bangkok, we just black out real hard. We grew up together on the south side. Also, my buddy's name is Smitty. So I don't have to keep saying my buddy. It's like, oh, Smitty. Now it's like he's your buddy too. Fucking Smitty, classic Smitty. So yeah, we get there, black out, and remained blacked out for probably 2.5 days. It was kind of a terror. We ended up flying to the southern island in Thailand, and right when we got off the plane, we went to this little bar. He knew this owner, and we kept getting real gross and drunk, and then found a hotel, checked in, dropped our shit off, and then went back out, and finally got back to the hotel at 7 a.m, because we're animals. And we get back, and when I'm drunk, I like to climb stuff or just explore and do shit that you're not supposed to. I've injured myself so many times, including this time. So we get back there, and Smitty's in the bathroom, and our hotel's on the second floor, and there's a small window in our room. It's this really shitty hotel. It was $30 a night. It was gross. And so I open the window, and it's this narrow passageway with an air duct, and then there's a bunch of bright light on the at the end of it because the sun was rising. So I go out, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. And I go out, and I climb out, and I start walking on this air duct and just cave the whole thing in, the whole way out. And then I get to the end of it, there's an air conditioner, and then a 6-foot drop, and then this massive roof, and that's just overlooking these lush green mountains, the ocean, the sun's rising behind the mountains. I was just overcome with beauty. And I just start walking across this roof, and in Thailand, the roof, or at least some of the places, this place was a shitty island, the roofs are just made to keep rain out, that's it. So they're not strong at all. So I start walking across this roof, and Smitty comes out of the bathroom, sees that I've just climbed out the window, and I'm on this roof. He's screaming at them. He's get back here, you asshole. I'm I got this. Get out here. It's fucking beautiful. He's I'm not coming. I'm I got this. He's no, you don't. And he was right. I didn't have it. So I'm walking across this roof, and again, we're on the second floor, and I walk past this window that's open, wide open, huge window, no curtain. It's this small, 1-bedroom apartment, and inside is this 80-year-old Thai man just wearing tighty-whities, watching TV in a chair. And I walk past, and I'm like 6 feet away from him. And I've been in Thailand for like a day and a half. And I know that hello in Thai is Sawadi Kap. So I walk past his window, I'm like, hey, Sawadi Kap, all right. Get him on the second floor, like trespassing on someone else's roof. And this guy just looks at me real quick, and then right back at his TV. I was like, all right, fair enough. So then I take about 4 more steps, and I fall straight through the roof. Bad, real bad. I didn't know this at the time, but I was unconscious for like 30 minutes. Smitty thought I was dead. So like I come to and I'm like, oh man, what I fell into was like the back storage room of a bar, but it was separated from the bar. It was just like a cinder block building with like this shitty roof on top and one door. So I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here, no worries. So I like tried it. Also, I was bleeding everywhere. I ended up needing stitches in 2 places. And I found out like a month later that I broke my leg. Yeah. And I backpacked on it for a month. So I'm like, I'll get out of here. So I like try to like there's a metal door with like a tiny little glass window, and I can't get it out, and I like slide it open, I can't. So then I break the glass and I reach out from the outside, and it's padlocked from the outside. That's the only door to get out of this place. So I'm like, well, fuck. And then I just think about like someone coming in there in the morning and like me getting arrested and going to a Thai jail. I fucking freaked out. Like, so I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I find a ladder, and I get a ladder, and I took like a broken bar stool and stacked it on top of the ladder. Because the only way I could get out of this was back through the hole in the roof that I created with my drunk body. So I do that, and I finally like pull myself out, and underneath I can see like support rails that are going across. So I pull myself out onto one of those rails. I break off a bunch of the roof more while I'm doing this, and then I climb, and then I like crawl hand over fist back on this rail. And I also, when I got up to the top, I reached down and I grabbed the broken bar stool and used it sideways to help disperse my weight across the roof. As I was blacked out, but you know what I mean, sharp cookie. And so then, the best part was now I have to pass by that dude's window again. So, the last time this dude saw me was like 45 minutes, almost an hour prior. And I was just hammered, just accosting him through his window at fucking 7 a.m, trespassing on someone else's roof. And then 30 seconds later, a loud crash. Smitty said from around like the corridor in the hotel room, he heard the crash. So this fucking old man for sure heard this shit. I'm covered in blood, my shirt's ripped. Both my flip-flops are down there, like literally covered in blood. And I'm with a broken bar stool, crawling past his window. I just look at his window, I'm like, Sawadi Kap. This fucking old man did the exact same thing. He just looked at me real quick and then right back at his TV. I was like, how much shit have you seen, old man? Are you fucking kidding? There's like a bloody stranger crawling for his life past your window. You're like, I've seen this shit before. We're watching the stories here, guys. So yeah, that's my story, dude. Thanks.
Comedian Matty Ryan. Up next, we go on an odyssey of mistakes with Louisville's Greg Welch. So you know how Leonardo DiCaprio won an Oscar for pretending to almost die while fighting a fake bear in the movie The Revenant? Well, not only did Louisville's Greg Welch survive his own mini version of The Revenant, he also didn't get an award for doing it, or a movie made about him. So we made this podcast. From Louisville, here's Greg Welch.
So the story I'm going to tell today is not funny, but people laugh at it all the time. It takes place on Derby years ago. How many years? Whatever the statute of limitations on the crimes I'm about to confess to, +1. That many years ago. It starts at work. I worked at a coffee shop, and all my friends are like messaging me like, oh, it's Derby, we're all getting drunk. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm at work. And they're like, well, we're at this party. Come join us when you get off work. So I do that. I get off work, I go to this party, and I immediately start drinking. And I got to compensate, right? Everybody else has been drinking all day. It's Derby day. So I'm like drinking extra quick to catch up with them. So then somebody gets it in their head, like, you know how there's not enough people in this packed-ass party? You know, we're not quite literally shoulder to shoulder? Let's go where we are, and let's pay 10 times more for beer. Let's do that. So we smush our bodies into O'Shea's, which is only a few blocks from where this party started. Geography is slightly important in this, but it doesn't really matter. You'll see why. So now a friend shows up, like a friend of a friend. I'm distancing myself in retrospect. Friend of a friend shows up, and he's like, hey, I got something that goes up your nose, or something like that. That's what I remember. And I was just like, yay, I hope it's cocaine, because I'm going to do it. It normally would be like an open back area, but it's literally just compressed with people. So just in the middle of this crowd of people, I'm snorting cocaine out of a cigarette cellophane. I'm very drunk. I'm overpaying for beers. And then I meet Eric from the Real World Road Rules Challenge. Do you guys remember him? I don't, but I got a picture with him. And that's the last picture of the Greg in this story. He dies at the end. Spoiler alert. And he becomes this person. So now I'm coked up and shit-faced, and I've continued to drink. Because I don't know if you guys have done cocaine before. I only did it once before, and I was like, oh, I can never do this again. This fits my personality way too well. But then I was super shit-faced, and I was like, I forgot about that. So, but cocaine allows you to drink even more alcohol. And the friend who brought the coke, not his first time doing it, or second, he's experienced. So he institutes the buddy system, which is a great idea if you're going to do coke. So we're all paired up, and he's my buddy. So the idea is you check in with each other, don't lose track of each other, because the other person's super fucked up, right? So great idea, keep drinking, having fun, and at some point I go to the bathroom, right? Which as a buddy, he was fine with. He was like, all right, go to the bathroom. But as soon as I got to the bathroom, I decided I'm going to secretly break the buddy system, because I've done this a million times. I'm too fucked up now, right? And I just want to go home. So I'm like, I'm just going to bounce. Without telling anyone, just quietly leave O'Shea's super coked up and shit-faced. So I just leave. Without saying anything. And I think what happened, and a lot of the story from this point on is me kind of guessing at what happened. So I think what I did was I was just like, my house is here. I pointed myself in the direction I thought my house was and was going to go in a straight line because that's like the shortest distance, right? So I leave and I'm walking. I think I know where I'm going. Now I'm in a neighborhood that's not really familiar, but I feel like I'm in the right direction. So I keep going. And now the neighborhood's ended and I'm kind of in a wooded area. And now I'm like, I don't really know if I'm okay. And at that time, my phone rings. Because at this point in my story, the phone's still working. So I answer my phone, and I'm like, hey! And they're like, where are you? You have the cigarettes. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I did buy a pack of cigarettes for the group and then leave with it. Well, I'm on my way home. Don't worry about me. And they're like, oh, are you sure you're okay? And at this point, I trip and fall and lose my glasses. And I'm trying to find my glasses while I'm on the phone, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. Click. Like, that's the last they heard. I'm going home. Don't worry about me. So I can't find my glasses. And again, if you haven't done coke, it puts a little voice in your head that just says, go. Just go. Don't worry about that. Go. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to worry about my glasses. I'm just going to go. And forward is still wooded area, but my brain's still telling me this is the fastest way home. So, scene missing. Now I'm in a culvert. You guys know what a culvert is? You've seen it. When you drive down Eastern Parkway, there's a little overpass, and there's like a concrete creek. It's Beargrass Creek. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. We discussed this earlier. But it's sheer concrete walls, and like it's a river basically, or a creek, literally. So I'm in it, right? Who knows how I got in there? But I'm in it, and I'm no more sober than I was. So I'm just like, oh, this seems like a very dangerous situation. Also, so this is Derby Day. Oaks Day, the day before, rained all day, as is the tradition. So I'm standing in about, I don't know, 1.5 feet of running water on the sides, and in the middle, it's like almost 3 feet of running water. It's also kind of cold, right? This is all bad. In case you're wondering, it's not like refreshingly cold on a warm day. It's just cold, and all this like water is just taking my body heat with it, right? So I'm just like, well, I got in this somehow. There's got to be a way out. And the voice in my head's like, go. And I'm like, all right. So I keep walking. And here's the thing. Running water is like hard to walk in. So it makes you fall a lot, right? So I'm falling on the concrete, and I'm scraping up my hands. I'm getting bloodied hands. My knees are getting bloodied. My shoes are coming off, and they just come off, and the current takes them. And I'm fine with that. I'm like, you can just have them. And then like a little bit later, same thing happens with the socks. Socks are, I'm just like, whatever. They're just getting in the way, right? So also, to give you a better picture, I'm wearing like a button-up shirt and like a white undershirt underneath. So, and it's like a kind of a sweatery material. So it's soaking up the water, and it's very cold. So this like wet, sweatery thing is just not working. So I just like unbutton that, and I give that to the current as well. Like, it can just have it. I don't need it, right? But so now I'm starting to get like colder and more worried. The more time I spend in here, the less options I see to get out, the more I'm starting to kind of worry. And so I'm trying to find a way out, and I can't. I cannot find a way out. And now I'm struggling like to stay awake, which is very bad, right? So I'm like, well, maybe if I can find somewhere to sleep in this storm drain, I can wake up more sober and use my sober brain to get out of here, right? So I find there's like a little opening offshoot, and there's these 3, if you can imagine, concrete pyramids with flat tops. It's like 3 concrete pyramids, but they're flat on top. And I can prop myself up onto them, and that gets me up out of the water, so I'm not standing in running water, which is slightly warmer by comparison. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can just sleep here. I'll wake up not fucked up, and I will survive this. So I go to sleep, and I wake up anywhere from 1 second to several hours later. We do not know. The time frame for this story is very loose. But so I wake up. I am not sober. I have not sobered up any at all. I am no warmer than I was either. I have just now slept in a storm drain. That's the only difference. So now I'm really starting to freak out, and I'm like, I gotta find a way out of here, right? So also, and I forget this because I've told this story a few times, and I usually leave this part out. I shit my pants. It's cocaine. Cocaine's like cut with this is like, I don't even give a shit about this part anymore. I shit my pants. I'm falling in running water anyway, so it's like it's washing itself as far as I'm concerned. There's more blood than shit on me anyway. Yeah, oh. So I double back, and when I say this, I turned back the way I thought I came from. This could be either direction. But I turned in the direction I feel like is where I came from. I got in this storm drain. There has to be a way out. So I find a series of holes, like that big around, just big enough to get my arm to about here. And I stick my arm in the hole, and I can pull myself up. I can put my body weight on my arm to get up to another hole, where I stick that arm, and then another one, and then there's some plant matter, and I'm putting an asterisk next to the plant matter. I'll get back to this. So I get this plant stuff, and I'm pulling myself up, and now I'm out of the storm drain, right? Hooray! Yes. I'm still freezing. I'm still very fucked up. This story's not over. And now I'm in a new subdivision. I do not know where I am geographically at all. I do not know which way I've turned around. So And I'm really starting to shiver, like uncontrollably. My whole body is shaking, and my reptile brain starts to take over. And it's like, you just need warmth. You need to find a way to get warmth. Look at all these cars parked along these streets. Maybe there's something warm inside. So I just start checking car doors to find an unlocked door. And I find a van, an unlocked van, and inside I find a child's zip-up fleece jacket, which I proceed to steal and put on. And then, so now I've got this on, but it's not giving me the level of warmth I want. I'm still shaking uncontrollably. So now I'm trying more because it's paid off, right? So I find one car door that's unlocked, and I open it, and it feels warmer in the car than outside. So yeah, oh no. So I just proceed to get inside this back seat of the car and close the door. Before passing out, and I have no idea where I got pen and paper. Oh, by the way, my cell phone was destroyed in the water, as were the cigarettes. But somehow I have a working pen and paper, and I managed to scrawl, "My name is Greg, sorry I slept in your car." And then I pass out. And then again, I wake up somewhere between 1 second to several hours later, but now the sun's up. So I wake up and I open my eyes and I know where I am and I start running. Never in my life have I gone from unconscious to full speed run, and neither have any of you. I've got you all beat as far as unconscious to full speed sprint. None of you guys have done this. So I'm running, right? Now I'm less fucked up mentally, but physically all the damage I've taken the night before is starting to affect me. My knees are very bloody, and my pants are still soaked, and they're jeans, and they're heavy, and they're chafing so bad. They're chafing so bad, and I'm like, well, maybe if I can rip these into shorts. So I proceed to rip the front flap of one leg off. And here's the thing, pants have seams right here, and you'll never rip through that, ever, with your hands. So I've got one flap gone, and I realize that's not helping. So I get my bearings. I find a cemetery that I know, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know where I am. I can know where home is. This can end, right? So I start walking towards my house, and here's the thing. I got to walk past people on the sidewalk. I am barefoot, bloody, one pant flap. I'm covered in blood and mud, and people are just passing me on the sidewalk and I'm just So I find myself on Goss, is where I pop out, right? You guys know Moe's on Goss? It's a little convenience store. And I'm like, okay, I can touch base here, and I can buy some cigarettes, because God, I need a fucking cigarette. So I go in there, and I notice she has a pair of scissors. And I'm like, hey, can I borrow those scissors? And she's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Can I borrow your scissors? So I buy a pack of cigarettes, and I take her scissors, and I go outside where I finish cutting my pants into shorts, which is such a relief. So now I just need to touch base and end this, right? And I realize I'm closer to my friend's house, the friends that I was hanging out with the night before. I'm closer to their house than my house, and they have a shower. So I'm just like, whatever, I just want this to end as soon as possible. And remember, the last these people heard from me is, I'm on my way home, I'm fine. And that was 10 hours ago. So now I show up, I knock on their door, they open it. There I am, this muddied, bloodied, broken version of myself, wearing a child's zip-up fleece jacket. They're like, what happened? I was like, I promise if you let me use your shower, I will tell you the whole story. And so they did. I threw away all those clothes from that night, with the exception of the child's jacket, which my friend Megan has now as a trophy. And I proceeded to tell that story, which I've been telling ever since, and every time I do, I die a little. So I'm glad you guys I also lost my glasses. I had to wear prescription sunglasses for 2 weeks. That was lame. Oh, yeah, you guys remember that asterisk on that plant matter I grabbed? Poison ivy, guys! That's right. A week later, half my body broke out in poison ivy. So the moral of the story is, don't violate the buddy system. Stick to the buddy system. Thank you.
And that does it for this episode of We Still Like You. In the meantime, consider doing us a huge favor and leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. It seriously makes a huge difference. If you want to tell a story at We Still Like You, shoot us an email at westilllikeyou@gmail.com, and we'll be in touch about how to do the show. To support the show, visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/We Still Like You, and don't forget to sign up before the end of November to get your custom live art. And of course, until next time, thank you for listening.
We Still Like You is produced by Dan Sheehan, Danny Gallegos, Tyler Snodgrass, Shannon Knoll, and J. Michael Osborne, who is also our resident live artist. In Los Angeles, it is produced by Andy Sell.
The podcast is produced by Jesse Patend, engineered by Jesse Patend and Sam Haas. Our theme song is Specific People by Jake Tobin. Big thanks to all the people who've housed our live shows at various undisclosed locations around Chicago, and to you, the listener, for being there.
If you'd like to know more about where you can watch We Still Like You or submit to be on We Still Like You, please check out our website, which is westilllikeyou.com, and also you can find us on Facebook.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.